All right, welcome to the Buckhorn Podcast. I'm Martelle, and with me always is Randy. And today we have two new guests with us. We have Hoop and G.W. because we are talking about sports. What's up, guys?
How we doing?
How's it going?
So we're on our conspiracy theory thing, and today we're going to do, we're going to attempt to do conspiracy in sports.
The sports balling, as Garrett would say.
Yeah. So I don't even know where to start with this. I guess we can start with Patrick Ewing in 1985 in the NBA draft.
Well, let me start off by saying I don't know anything. Go ahead. No, I was just going to say I don't know anything about this, honestly. This is why I brought these guys on board, because I love sports. I love watching Buckeye football. I sometimes like watching NFL football because I run a fantasy league that these guys are in. But these two... Hoop knows as much about almost all sports. I'll throw out some random factors. I used to sit at his house literally and be like, who won the 1984 World Series? And he would either
Tigers.
Get it or be within a year or something. Or I'd be like, who was the pitcher for whatever? Who made, who had the most free throws in this year? Just any sport, I would throw out random trivia, and he'd either get it or be really, really close. So when we got into sports, he's the first guy that popped in my mind. And then Gary over there knows a little bit too. So, no, but GW, a.k.a. the Gary Wayne, he will be proud to tell you that he's forgotten more about football than I will ever know.
That's a fact.
Yeah, I'm not even going to argue it because I'm sitting here. I don't even know this Patrick Ewing thing, but yeah, I just kind of want to introduce the guy so people don't just think, hey, it's, yeah. Like I said, I'm not good with the sports balling either. I played baseball growing up, and then I got fat and was like, you know what? Buckeyes football's where it's at from. I can talk Buckeyes football all day, but that's about it. So let's get on with what happened with Patrick Ewing. You have to clue me in.
Well, before we get into that, let's introduce Hoop first. Hoop.
Yeah.
Collegiate athlete Hoop. Ooh, I didn't think about that. He was a college athlete.
College athlete. That's even better.
Although it was in soccer, so it wasn't
didn't really
in
count.
any other the four major sports. But yeah. So what do you guys want? What do you guys want to know?
You just gave me enough because I think Martelle feels about like soccer like I do, and the fact that you're a collegiate soccer player and you're like, yeah, it didn't really count. It's going to tick off so many soccer players.
Had I known that, I wouldn't have let you.
To be fair, he likes football better than anything.
Yeah.
So
Football and basketball.
He was
football.
a kicker
no,
too.
he likes hand egg.
Oh, okay.
He was a kicker.
He was
Just
a
caught
kicker. Kickers are weird birds, man. I played football for 20 years, and I never met a kicker that was quite right, ever.
I think they're the smartest though. I
paid a
really
lot
do.
of
Like
money
I'm really considering my boy's 4 years old, and I'm thinking if I can train him to be a place kicker now, and he can make a ton of money for a long time.
Best going to have to
True.
let him jump off the third step at my house if we're ever going to proceed to potentially getting hit by other people, though.
He's a kicker. They're not allowed to get hit.
Kickers aren't allowed to
He
get
can be
hit.
a wuss.
Oh, yeah, no, there's kick off.
Kick off. You just gotta.
Well, let's be honest. He's like my size. He's gonna be like that dude from Penn State that was trucking people just by bouncing into them.
Yeah, but to be
He's gonna
fair,
waddle down like
that dude also tried to kill himself like 14
That's
times and
true.
stopped playing football.
He had depression.
All right. Well, that just took a turn for the serious. Welcome to the podcast, everyone. How's your Wednesday going? What'd you have for breakfast? A little suicide attempt conversation? Me too. I guess that's all we want from you, Hoop. I don't think anybody... What else did we need from him?
That's
Social
it.
security number,
Yeah, well-
kids, address.
Phone number,
I got all that.
bank account.
I have those things.
I have those things. Yeah.
So you played college soccer, but you obviously have studied every sport just about.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
like the major sports.
I absolutely love football. Basketball is another thing I love to play and enjoy talking about.
How many fantasy football leagues are you in?
Last year I was in 5.
Yeah,
I won
that's how
3
crazy
and
this
was in the
guy is.
finals in 2 of those.
1-3 and went to the finals in 2. That's
Yeah,
how
me
nuts
too.
he is.
So
I run a fantasy league and I had 3 wins last season, I think. So that's why I bring on people better than me in GW.
I'm glad that you do that because I don't even do anything with fantasy football.
No, but I bet there's like a fantasy CrossFit games you do that though.
I wouldn't even do that because I don't even know who's in the fantasy. I don't even know who's in the CrossFit games this
The
year.
only name
I don't
is
know
Rich
who's in my
Running.
fantasies. That's why
Well.
they're fantasies.
That's right.
And then we got GW over there. I guess give your pedigree.
Yeah.
My
I know you-
pedigree.
Yeah. Oh, don't act like you haven't told this story to me a million times. GW and I are pretty much best friends, and I think it's because nobody likes either of us.
No, we're both
that
dicks.
much.
Oh, I like you,
So
Randy.
it's kind of like we like each other because we make each other laugh, but usually at the other's expense.
Right.
So, which I do have a funny sports story to share on that, but I will let him tell kind of his background in sports.
My background in sports. Played football
What else
most of
did
my
you
life.
think I wanted to? Just sports.
I've coached football for the last 12 years. Yeah, that's about it. I know football. I don't know other sports as well, but I know them enough to have
You know a good bit
intelligent
amount.
discussion about them.
Yeah, because
But
even
I
with
know
NBA and-
football.
Yeah, he knows football. He's being modest at it. Maybe it's because we're recording, but he played at the prestigious school in Ohio, DeGraff, Ohio, right?
DeGraff Riverside, yeah.
DeGraff Riverside. I have no clue where that is. And then went on to play not collegiate, but semi-professional football.
Yeah, a little bit of indoor league stuff. I played a little bit here and there. Then my knees went bad.
You were like 24. It's not bad.
27.
Oh man,
Yeah.
your body's so. You're not in good shape, man.
No, that's true.
You're as flexible as like that futon you're on. Actually,
60
Oh, and that
surgeries.
futon's
6 knee
pretty
surgeries
flexible.
into it.
I broke it.
Do I want to know how?
It's a stupid story.
It's
Okay, fair
actually
enough.
not
Cool.
near as funny
I just
as-
didn't know whether I didn't want to be sitting here or not.
It happened right where you're sitting.
I give that to my son all the time. I tell him all the time because my wife and I got a new mattress a couple years ago, and he needed a new mattress, so we just gave him our old one, and he was real thrilled about it. And then I don't know what happened here. It's been about 3 or 4 weeks. The conversation came up, and he wanted to take a nap. I don't know whether Krista was cleaning his room or what, because he's a 17-year-old slob. And I was like, just go take a nap in our bed. And he was like, I'm not sleeping in that bed. I'm like, why are you not going to sleep in that bed? He's like, I know what you do in that bed. I was like, what do you think we did on your bed, dummy?
abstinence for the 15 years
He's like,
you
I
had
need a
that
new
mattress.
mattress right now.
Forever
I'm like,
clean
"You're an
it." So yeah, that's why I brought these guys in. I've got other friends that know about sports, but like one of them's a Browns fan, so you can't really take his word for it. One of them's a Dolphins fan and half Puerto Rican, so who knows if he's telling the truth. So no, but these guys are close by, and I thought we'd bring them in and go over some of this sports team talk.
Yeah, I'm all for that.
Well, then you should start it then.
Well, let's get started then. So let's go with Patrick Ewing, 1985 NBA draft.
Also in Space Jam.
Also in Space Jam with Michael Jordan, who is arguably the best NBA
That's
player.
not really-
He is the best.
Stop.
No argument.
I hate LeBron James.
You can hate all you want.
But I respect him.
It doesn't change the fact that while Jordan might have been the greatest pure scorer in the history of the game, from an actual perspective of playing the game of basketball, it isn't even a conversation.
I agree. Jordan is a better pure scorer, and
Yeah.
he's only the defensive MVP 3 times to LeBron's. How many?
Defensive MVP, I don't
Yeah.
even think that's an actual award, but
It
it's
is an
cool.
award. Defensive
Defensive
Player of the Year.
Oh,
He was
I'm
that
sorry.
one time,
I'm sorry.
but LeBron has not done that.
So to say that he's only better because he's a scorer is kind of false.
But I'm also going to preface this by saying I hate basketball.
I got
I
to tell
love
you guys,
basketball.
Feeling that you really just don't like the sportings.
he's pretty open about that.
Well, most of them, yeah. I kind of don't like the sportings. I hate watching baseball.
It's kind of boring unless
It's
you're at
boring
the
unless
game.
you're at the stadium
Yeah.
or
That's like hockey or soccer.
yeah, it's same. Well, soccer.
I've
I
started
can't
to
even
like
sit and
watching
watch
soccer
soccer
now.
I
either.
can't sit. What is happening with you? You ate a whole pan of cornbread the other night.
Here's what happened.
But you've never eat bread.
No, I started playing FIFA like 4 years ago.
Is Kristen not
That was
loving
your
you enough?
that was your downfall.
And then I was like, this. Now I kind of understand what's happening, and now I can watch it. Before I didn't know what was happening. I'm like, why are they calling that penalty? All the dude did was run. Why would you not kick the ball to him? He's offsides. What?
Well,
once I understood, it started.
I would rather watch women's soccer than watch men's soccer.
Well, tits.
No, not even for that. The women will take a hit, run down the field bloody, not fall down, grab their shin for getting poked in the shoulder.
My favorite was I
They're
saw
just a bunch of fucking
Why
pansies.
does
I don't
Rihanna
wanna
not
say
play
it.
soccer?
I'm going to say. Oh, hold on. I had something really funny I was going to say, but I'm going to pause for your really poor joke. I don't know, GW. Why does Rihanna not play soccer?
Well, no, he just said it. Women
I
can
think you're
take
at
a
a
punch.
punchline.
They can run down the field. Take
Oh, my
whatever.
gosh.
I'm just trying to figure out why she's in music.
It's a
still.
Chris Brown joke.
There you
That's
go.
where it went.
There you
Caught
go.
up.
Get it?
Yeah.
Now I forget what I was going to say.
Bask in the glory of my humor.
But
sir.
Oh, my
I've sat
gosh.
and watched some of the women play soccer, and they'll run down the field with their heads split open, and they continue to play. You see Pele fucking take a hit.
Yep.
That's racist.
He falls down, grabs his shin, and they try to get the other team red card and throw as many players off the
I
goddamn
was trying to
team.
figure out when you actually watched Pele play. Was it in the 60s or the early 70s?
Well, I watched YouTube back in I was watching YouTube back in the 90s.
I'm the same way because I grew up knowing who Pele was because I played soccer when I was 6 and 7. That was my soccer claim to fame. Well, no, it's true. Soccer made me fat. Soccer and Pop Rocks made me fat.
It's because you were eating Pop Rocks while playing soccer?
Randy
You guys remember though?
playing soccer in youth soccer, which is basically a giant human amoeba.
Right,
And
just running
nobody's-
around.
It's a swarm of bees following the ball.
Everybody's just running around except I was on defense, so I didn't have to run that much. So
You the goalie?
no, I wasn't the goalie. I was not. The first year I was really svelte. The
Svelte.
second year I was not. I was more of a schmedium.
I had become a husky.
Well, that was the brand of the jeans I had to wear. But
Sears, Roebuck.
the funny
and
thing is,
Company.
my mom still has them as far as I know. But you remember the silhouette statue things you get of your kids when they play sports, little
yeah,
flat,
Yeah,
whatever.
the ones that are like kicking the soccer ball, whatever they're
Yeah,
on the
whatever.
Little,
So-
the little fake marble tray. Yeah.
Yeah. So my first year I've got one and I look like a normal happy kid, and then the next year I have one that looks like it was carved out of a tree trunk. it was like twice as wide. And I was like,
I am.
at like
Groot.
17, you know, I
This
was
is me?
huge in high school. I was like, oh, now I know how I got fat. I tried to play soccer, so I played baseball the rest of my life. I Babe Ruthed it, except I wasn't a great hitter. And
Did
I
you
played
call your
third base.
shots?
I didn't call my, yeah, to the ground, hopefully. Something. No, I was a decent hitter.
You
but
just turned
baseball-
around and pointed to the catcher.
Right. You got this, bro? It's coming right past me.
And all of that leads back to Patrick Ewing in the 1985 NBA draft.
Oh, my gosh,
Right.
this guy. This ain't your podcast, Gary.
Don't invite me, bro. You know what's going to happen.
All right, let's get back to what happened in 1985 with Patrick Ewing.
So apparently Patrick Ewing was like the man at Georgetown.
Correct.
Right.
He was coming up. He was coming up from Georgetown. He was the guy, and there were some issues going on with drugs and everything else in the NBA around '85. The NBA was going to lose their title
I think
deal.
that's still happening.
No, this was like some severe cocaine and some other whatever.
I think it's still happening. But go
Well, I'm
ahead.
sure it's still happening,
Go
but
ahead.
it was running rampant, and everybody knew it. CBS had the exclusive deal with the NBA. CBS was gonna drop that deal after '85 if shit didn't get turned around. So, in order to try to turn that around, there was some things that were going to happen, or needed to happen, I guess. And one of those things that needed to happen was the drugs needed to cease and desist in some fashion. So they rigged the draft.
So they rigged the draft to stop the drug use.
They rigged the draft to stop the drug use so that CBS would sign back on.
Yeah, I think it had more to do with the fact that the Knicks hadn't been competitive for a long time, and it was the biggest market in the NBA. And then they needed the Knicks to be a competitive team so that television ads could be sold a lot easier. The more eyeballs on the TV.
So
You know,
it came down to what
that's
all pro sports does: money.
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
everything. Okay.
All pro everything
See, that
comes down
makes
to
sense. 'Cause
money.
I was sitting there going, how does a draft determine whether or not people use drugs?
Well, here's the thing
and
about
that's
the
what I
drug
was-
situation, though, and that's where you got to remember. In 1985, there were no smartphones, there was no Google. All you had was the evening news.
No
So if
cars.
shit was such a big deal that everybody knew what was happening in 1985, it would think of it now a million times over, like
It was on the news.
bad news bears.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
on the news. So and that's
Okay.
where I was getting to. So the Knicks were one of the prior to '85, the way that the draft ran was they just took the two worst teams out of the conference, flipped a coin, and that's who got the draft pick first. In '85, they took the 7 teams that didn't go to the playoffs
Lottery.
and did a lottery with it. So the lottery that the company that did that lottery was I got it right here. Estate and Whitney was the company that did that lottery. They're the ones who sealed up the 7 in the envelopes,
Okay.
and they're the ones who placed the envelopes into the ball. And then the head of security for the NBA is who spun that ball.
And then they had Steve Harvey pull it out.
Yeah, and then and he read it wrong.
It looked exactly the same as he does right now.
Right.
That man is not aged.
So, in doing that, the gentleman who put the envelopes into the ball Jack Wagner, as he's putting him in, if you watch the video, the one that I watched earlier today, or if you look it up online, if you look up 1985 draft, you'll see that as he puts him in, you count the cards he puts in. The fourth card he puts in, he bangs on. There's a steel bar across the middle of this plastic ball.
Right.
He hits it on that steel bar. It's the only one he taps on that bar, and he throws it in. They roll the thing. The commissioner, David Stein, he watches the ball. He goes in, grabs the card, pulls out the Knicks. Holy shit. He pulls the Knicks out, and Patrick Ewing becomes the first draft pick for 1985. And the Knicks choose him. So the conspiracy is that was all set up so that the Knicks could be get the first pick for the draft, and they're going to pick the number one guy coming out of Georgetown, Patrick Ewing. So here's where all that comes into play with the conspiracy. This company, Estate and Whitney, is owned or is the accounting firm for Golf and Western, who owns the Knicks. So you've got a tie right back to who owns the Knicks that can go and
control it.
That can control this whole thing. David Stein knows about this. If you watch the video, he's staring at the ball, watching where this envelope is. You can see even in the shitty video quality they had back in 85 compared to what we have now, you can see the bent corner. When he grabs the envelope, he reaches in, he grabs 2 envelopes or 3 envelopes, however many are there, flips it over, and pulls the one out that has the bent corner.
Okay, so here's a couple questions that I have. First off, this would have been a big operation. Like, there are multiple people involved.
Yeah, there would be.
About it.
Yeah.
In the last discussion, you and Garrett said there's no way that 9/11 could be done because there'd be too many people involved.
Well, this wouldn't be as many as that.
Okay, so
this would be roughly 4 people.
I'm not going to get tied up on that.
Yeah.
So
I brought it up. I don't want to get tied up.
Right.
Let's
get it. There would be roughly 4 people.
Sports,
4 people involved in this operation.
So
maybe 5.
So 4 people, maybe 5.
There'd be the guy who had stuffed the envelopes, who'd be the same guy.
5 guys couldn't have pulled off blowing up a building.
No.
Okay, so no, but my real question is, why would they, if they're trying to mark an envelope, why would he do it when you know cameras are rolling and people are watching and bang it onto the cage? Why not do it in your hand before, or you know what?
Again, you're looking at it through the lens of a instant media society that we live in now, right?
I'll give you that.
So at that time, in his mind, he's not thinking there's 40 people with cell phone cameras zoomed in on everything that I'm doing. He's thinking it's a slick little move.
But it was recorded.
Well, yeah, right. But I mean, again, if you watch TV shows now that were recorded in the 80s on live television, the quality of live camera work and everything else,
it's really bad.
It's a whole different animal. So again, he's, in his mind, I'm being slick. And again, in his mind, everybody knows and has known for a long time that the NBA, more than a little sketchy in a lot of ways, whether that's real sketchy officiating, whether that's how the ABA became part of the NBA, it wasn't like anybody was going to be like, oh my God, the NBA is dirty. Everybody's like, yeah, the NBA is kind of dirty. So if I get caught, who cares? Whatever.
I'm just saying, if I'm going to be the guy that's going to mark an envelope, I'm not going to bang it into the cage while it's in my hand or before I even walk it out there. I'll be in the corner.
He did try to make it look like it was kind of accidental.
Kind of like a oops.
Yeah, it was kind of like he moved it in and kind of like
farther.
And
it's stuck in my hands, guys.
It was shitty at best in his attempt to do it, but he did try to make it look like an accident.
And I'm not saying I get what you're saying, GW. I'm just saying, like, if it were me and I've got 7 envelopes, it was.
Yep, 7 envelopes.
I've got them backstage, I'm assuming, where I put the team names in the envelope. When I go to put the Knicks in, why not just bend the corner there and then walk it out and just dump them all in? Regardless of I get what you're saying about it is way easier for people to get caught these days. I mean, we see videos all the time.
Now, I can't speak to this because I don't know what the procedures were. However, if it's like most things along those lines, for example, the Academy Awards are done with sealed envelopes, all that type of stuff. The guy putting them into the ball would not have had access to them until they brought them out in a box and handed them to him.
Right.
Yeah.
So then how did he know which one had the Knicks in it?
Because it's 1985 and he's probably the asshole that stuffed the envelope.
Well, but that's what I'm saying. If he's the one who stuffed the envelope, then why not do it when you stuff the envelope?
Well, no, because the envelopes are, if it's like again, the envelopes, in all likelihood, were reasonably marked. Like, even now, the lottery balls are fucking ping pong balls with the team on them.
Okay.
Right? So they just roll them around. It's like bingo balls.
Well,
everybody knows there's a B-59 in there.
Yeah. Yeah, but but with that's a machine that pops one out, right?
Right.
Somebody doesn't reach in and go, oh, there's 5 of them. I want the Knicks. You know what I'm saying?
Well, you're right. But again, you're if you look at it from the standpoint of the way our media works now and the way that instantaneous information happens now, and there's a cell phone video for everything, and everything can be dissected down to the,
right,
the nth degree, then yeah, everything you're saying makes sense. 30 years ago, that didn't exist.
I guess I was 2 when this happened, so
God,
hopefully 2. Hopefully 2-year-old me would have been smart enough to be like, hey, dummy, bend it before you're out there, or bend it pre-throwing it into the ball. When you're chucking them, you got 7 of them. It's not like you're throwing in 100.
Yeah.
Right.
You've got 7. People are watching you. It's the freaking NBA draft. Their camera's rolling.
Same reason
why
he
did actually
3, dink.
Yeah. If he did actually stuff them, you would think that he would have bent the corner when he was
I
doing
just don't
it,
get why he did that. I'm not saying I don't get why he did it. I'm not saying it did or didn't happen. My question is, it wouldn't even be a conspiracy theory today because nobody would have known if he'd have done it off camera.
So there are 2 other theories that go along with this.
Okay.
So there's one that the envelope was frozen.
So it's colder.
There are only 2 people touching the envelopes. Jack Wagner
and
David Stern. So Jack Wagner would have put him in. The one would have been cold. When Stern reaches in.
Well, but see, I can't even consider that one. If we think the bent corner was it, why would they need to freeze it?
Well, it's just one of those theories that's out there that the envelope's frozen.
It got bent because it did stick to his hand because it was in the freezer.
Maybe.
It just stuck to his hand.
The other theory is...
I solve cases here, guys. This is what I do.
You're not doing a very good job.
I would agree with your assessment, sir.
Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong that he did not freeze that envelope and it stick to his hand, and then he banged it against
that's
the
not
paper.
how logical exposition works, right?
Yeah, I know. Okay. But it's my podcast. It's our podcast.
The other theory is...
What are you going to say?
I was going to say, if it's frozen, how does the corner get bent, though? Would be my question.
It would shatter.
And then
Elsa would come out from the wing and sing a song.
He goes out, puts in 3 envelopes, turns around, puts on a hood and some big gloves, and gets tongs and pulls one out of a bucket that's like steaming, and then puts the other 3 in. Like, bet you can't guess the marked envelope, guys. Careful. Kind of chilly.
The other theory would be that there was invisible ink, essentially, and Stern has on special glasses that can see the invisible ink, which is highly unlikely.
Yeah, I think that's a little far-fetched.
That's a little far.
I'd say that's far-fetched. I wouldn't say it's totally impossible.
I didn't say impossible. I said implausible.
I would say this. On a scale of 0 to did it happen, I would say it's a 9.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I would say it's a pretty solid
a 9 out of what? Where did it happen?
Something
near 10
happened.
Or near 100?
I would say that it's at 10.
That something happened. You're just saying in general.
That something happened to help fix that draft.
Yeah, out of 10, I would say that it was rigged.
I would say probably 70. I'm pretty much an anti-conspiracy theory person, so. And so I always think, everyone's doing the right thing, but especially in sports because. Especially players, I know how competitive I am. I know they're not trying to fix, but back in the day, when you're looking 80s, 70s, 60s, they didn't make as much money as the people do now. So that's why I've always given the benefit of the doubt to the new people. But I do think something had to have probably happened because, like GW said earlier about the Knicks needing the biggest market in the NBA, they needed the Knicks to be good, and Patrick Ewing was the big guy in that draft. I mean, you had him and Wayman Tisdale and Chris Mullin and a few other guys. Karl Malone was in that draft, I believe. And
this is why I brought this guy.
12th, 13th, 14th pick, somewhere around there. But he wasn't the big star that Patrick Ewing was. Everyone knew this is a can't-miss prospect. Yeah. And
that was the NBA
him.
was a big man's league at that time.
Yeah,
exactly.
There were a lot more big men back then than finesse men.
Yeah. So I think probably 7, 8, I would say.
I've not seen any of it. I'll be honest. You sent me links and we talked about this, and I didn't research any of it. As far as the frozen, absolutely slacking, man. Hardcore this week. I did not prepare for this one at all. But that's why I brought in ringers. So they can do that for me. They will tell me if I'm right or wrong, and then I'll just
ignore what we say and
ignore everything.
I'll say something ridiculous about it and then move on with life. I will make it I'll make some incoherent and stupid statement about all the facts you just laid out. So something happened, but we believe the draft was fixed. We just don't know if it was a frozen envelope or a bent corner that the guy should have done backstage.
There's definitely a bent corner. I mean, you can see the bent corner. We just don't in the video. In the crappy video, you can see the bent corner. There's no doubt about that.
That just sounds dumb to me. The whole bending on the bar. I mean, if that's the way they did it, fine.
It's
frozen envelope. If they did it that way, kudos. I would have never thought of that myself. That's actually really smart. There are way more brilliant criminals on this planet.
That's very true.
Like they're smarter than me. That's why I've never become a criminal, because I'd get caught first try. That's why I don't do it. Otherwise, all day, frozen envelopes left and right. So we all say something happened in that, but we don't know exactly what.
Yeah, there's really no telling, but it was fixed. I mean, in some way, shape, or form, it was fixed.
So what's the next one then? What else you got?
Well, that was
the big
that was the big one. But there's another one. So Muhammad Ali versus Sonny Liston.
Right, the Phantom Punch.
There's the Phantom Punch.
Right, that's the one I kind of want to talk about.
So we get that was the next one I have on my list.
Okay.
I didn't get a chance to actually research it, so I'll just read it straight from my phone. The basic theory is Sonny Liston took a dive in his 1965 rematch against Muhammad Ali in a fight that lasted 1 minute and 44 seconds. So I watched the video briefly. It looks like the punch
it's a minute 44 seconds. Of course, you watched it briefly.
Right.
It glanced. It was not a hard punch.
Yeah,
it glanced his temple.
You see his head kind of snap. And this is where I'm kind of saying it's probably not a conspiracy, just because.
You don't think anything.
That's very true.
Like there's no flaws or anything wrong in sports. Nothing dirty.
I just think when you get hit, and even if it's not hard, sometimes you get hit in the right spot. I mean, you just boom. I mean, you're gone. Yeah. And I mean, I broke my collarbone last October, falling down like I've always fallen down playing
soccer.
I was actually playing football, but and just landed the right spot and snapped it. And but I do think he got hit, and I think it got hit the right spot. And I do believe that
there's definitely an off button in training with with JJ we were talking about a little earlier. He's a little friend of mine that was a little fighter for a while.
If you're listening, JJ, you're tiny and you freak me out.
Listening to this, JJ barely even texts me anymore. He's in Florida now. He don't care. No, but for real, him and I would spar a few times, and he knocked me out twice. He fights at 145, and he was walking around about 155, and both times he knocked me out, I did not hurt afterwards. So I'm like, he must not have hit me real hard. No pain. I just went to sleep for a few seconds. Didn't know a thing. I was on the ground. I wake up. He's above me. I say, "You get me?" He said, "Yeah," and we moved on. So I do believe that he could have. You can get caught.
That happens to me after a trip to the Golden Corral sometimes.
That's called your heart slowing down. That's not the same thing.
I mean,
that's a longer process.
Yamato.
Yeah.
It's a food coma, no big deal.
But he had ties to the drug.
Well, the mafia, big time. He had a lot of gambling debts.
I was gonna say he had a lot of.
Liston did.
Yeah, I think that's what happens with a lot of this stuff. Like post hoc thought processes. Oh, something unexpected happened, so now let's go look at the whole picture and then come up with an explanation for
what's the reason behind this happening?
That isn't the fact that Muhammad Ali was a great fighter and caught him a glancing blow at the right spot. There's got to be more to it than that. Oh, he owed a lot of people money.
Yeah.
Well, exactly. I mean,
that's why they're called conspiracy theories.
So does Floyd Mayweather, and he's 51-0.
Yeah, well, he has a shitload of money too.
Yeah, but he also owes the government a shitload of money.
Wow.
Did you guys see how much money he made on that last fight he did?
No.
With McGregor? Oh yeah.
Oh, the McGregor fight,
dude.
Oh, he made. He should have just made billions,
hundreds of millions.
It's stupid.
It's crazy.
And it's like I watched that whole. I watched that and the Pacquiao fight because I'm sitting here thinking, okay, at some point, every great fighter, ages or goes downhill. There's just. You can retire still on top and be one of the all-time greats, but you look at Ronda Rousey. Ronda Rousey was untouchable for how many fights, and then somebody thought, hey, this girl's really good at jiu-jitsu. I'm just going to punch her in the face and knock her out.
Right.
So, every amazing... And I loved watching Rousey fight. It was just fascinating to me how quickly she could get somebody in an armbar who trains against getting caught in an armbar. Yeah. And so I was waiting for him to lose, and then he did this fight with McGregor. McGregor was obviously hungry, and at the end, they were both done. I was like, they both did it for the money.
Mm-hmm.
Neither one of them wanted to fight hard because neither one of them...
Well, but here's the thing about Mayweather. I don't know how many Mayweather fights you've ever watched, but Every Mayweather fight is for the money. Dude is the most
absolutely.
boring.
He's awful to
He
watch.
just runs around
awful boxer to watch in the history of the world.
Absolutely.
He is the most defensive, run away, last 12 rounds, and land enough light jabs that I win on points.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what he's done for 15 years.
Absolutely.
It's awful to watch.
Yeah, I
Brilliant
agree.
boxing, but it's terrible to watch.
He just runs around the ring. He
he
runs
doesn't-
away from the.
he
That's
doesn't
all he
want
did with
any
But
McGregor.
there's
Yep.
also, that's what I was going to bring up. There's
He just
also
wore him down.
conspiracy theory that came out after that fight. Because after he did it with Pacquiao, then this thing happened with Mayweather. Well, Mayweather, people were saying, he's starting to get caught a few times in MMA. Why not go here, trash talk each other? Because they're both great at it. Let's be honest. They're two of the best when it comes to talking trash.
Yeah.
Oh,
So let's build this thing up huge. You guys don't even have to really hurt each other, and we'll all make hundreds of millions.
Well,
it's just...
I wouldn't even call that a conspiracy theory. I would call that a
game
well
plan?
thought out.
That's a business
and
strategy.
reasoned
Business, like you said.
strategy. I mean, that's not.
Well, either way, but it goes back to-
think about the way we consume gladiatorial type sports in this country. There are 3 ways that we consume gladiatorial type sports. There's football, which I think most people still consider to be a relatively pure test of man against man, who's stronger, who's tougher, who's going to win that 2 feet, that 2 inches in front of your face situation. Then we have MMA, which I think, unfortunately, is starting to head down the path of WWE with a lot of scripted bullshit. Like this last fight the other night
I didn't even watch it.
well, the fight itself was fine, but at the end of the fight, Brock Lesnar jumps into the octagon and they start screaming at each other about how they're going to fight. And it's like, what the hell, man?
Yeah, that's been happening for years.
And then you have
Happened in the 90s.
Then you have WWE, which everybody who consumes knows is scripted, and it's just testosterone laden soap opera. Like, that's how we consume gladiatorial events in Western society. So for 2 boxers, well, not 2 boxers, but for a boxer and an MMA guy who's kind of on the outs of MMA to go, what if we just mesh all this shit together? We'll get 3 groups of people to give us their money.
Right.
That's just smart business.
Oh, yeah.
and
That's
that's why,
genius.
I said from the get go, this is a money grab.
Oh,
when
yeah.
they first announced it, I went, it's about time. But I called 2 things. I might have told you, Hoop. I know I talked to Jay about it. I said Mayweather will win, hands down. He's not going to step into a thing and say I'm going to lose. He's not. His pride, his ego, his 15-0 record. He's not going to go down 50-1. And I said 2, it'll be one of the biggest purses.
Oh yeah.
The biggest
Well, you know,
ever.
you know who else? You
And-
know who else knew it was a big money grab? 99% of the people who paid $99 to watch it.
Yeah,
Yep.
I
They
know.
didn't give a shit.
Exactly.
and there'll never be another rematch because there's no
hell
way in
no.
hell that Mayweather will ever do an MMA version of that.
No, no
There will
chance.
never be grappling version of that, which everybody wants to see,
Never happened.
but it'll never happen
Mayweather will get
because
his ass beat.
I was just
Mayweather
saying.
will get.
I want him
He'd
to
get
get. Did you
crushed.
see James Toney come out, this awesome boxer, and he wanted to go into MMA because he talked about how boxers are the greatest strikers in the world, which, I've only trained with a handful of
That's cool,
amateur
but once
boxers.
somebody's inside your guard, it doesn't matter.
Well, no,
Yeah,
that's what
once you're on
happened.
the ground,
Did you
you're
see
fucked.
that? That happened, though. James Toney comes out, I would say, top of his game, one of the greatest boxers at the time. Randy Couture comes out of retirement, hasn't fought in years,
Spanked his ass.
trained for 3 months for this fight, and within seconds had him on the ground and was sitting
Yeah.
on top of him.
Let's
Tony's
see it.
covered up, and Couture's just laughing. There's no way Mayweather's getting the octagon.
No.
Ever.
No.
No,
Ever at all. Sorry, I derailed us from the
no, you're.
conspiracy theory, but that was one I just saw online. A lot of people were like, this is rigged. This is. I called it a conspiracy theory because everybody's saying that. Yes, I would say I knew that. You guys knew that, but a lot of people were calling BS on it. And I'm sitting there going, you guys, when they first announced the fight on Facebook and I shared it, I was like, Mayweather will win, huge money
Yep.
Yeah.
for both of them.
At the end of the day,
That's it.
conspiracy theories in general are an attempt to
Explain the
apply
supernatural.
explanation, not just supernatural. They're an attempt to apply an explanation that has more meat to it than what our eyes actually see. At the end of the day, Occam's razor comes into play. The simplest answer is usually the right answer. Sonny Liston got capped in the temple. It was a glancing blow by our standards. However, if Muhammad Ali in his prime caught me in the temple with a glancing blow, my fat ass would go down too.
Exactly.
I mean,
just the wind from his glove would knock my ass out.
I mean, I'd climb in the ring. I'd let him punch me for a couple $1 million. That'd be fun.
Hell yeah.
I'd take a punch. Shit, I'm good.
I'd stand there, take
But
the hit.
The point being that, like, the simplest answer is the one that makes the most sense. Like, Muhammad Ali caught him a little bit, but it was in the right spot,
Yep.
and he's down. Peace.
That's it. Yeah.
Simple.
I'm
On board with that.
float like a butterfly, sting like a bee.
Yep.
Yeah.
I can do neither of those things.
Well, we know.
I can float in a pool. That's about all I can do.
I don't even think you could do that.
No
I'm
buoyancy,
very
man.
buoyant.
Buoyancy, fat floats, brother.
Yeah, I'm very buoyant. Look like a freaking buoy out there, just popping around. We're just playing Marco Polo, and I'm sitting in the deep end, can't paddle myself to the side. You pictured that, didn't you? Picture me bobbing in the pool, just kind of.
Now I'm picturing somebody like sitting on your belly with an oar and just kind of just
I
paddling
got my
through.
son just paddling me across the pool.
That's pretty awesome.
He doesn't need swim lessons. He's just going to ride my belly across
That's right.
this pool.
He's going to use you as a canoe.
He's going to chuck the wagon and ford me across the river.
It's going to be awesome.
So, one of the conspiracy theories somebody brought up is, are professional sports rigged? Which sports, to which degree? I mean, we can talk all sport. We can talk in general. Are they rigged?
I would say in general they're all rigged in some fashion,
or have been at least.
Well, yeah, in you can without a doubt say yes, they have been in.
Here's my thing. Here's what I would say. The sports that have the fewest players on the field of competition would be the sports that are most susceptible to being rigged. For example, an NFL game has 22 active players on the field at all times.
Right.
In order for it to be rigged at the level of player collusion, you would need 15 to 16 of those players, which would mean members of both teams striving towards the same goal.
Well,
that's really a difficult pill for me as somebody who played at a high level to swallow.
And I'm throwing up the air quotes for high level. I know y'all can't see that.
Fair enough.
But
I got paid. I don't know what you want from
depends
me.
on what you consider.
Anybody else in this room get paid to play sports?
yeah, I've got paid a lot to play music. I'm not Dave Grohl. Calm down over there.
I'm just saying.
No, I've not got paid to play sports because I'm not that great at sports.
I had to think about it for a minute.
That. Do what?
Does the scholarships count as being paid?
Oh,
Kind
throwing
of.
out the scholarship.
If you want to get
now.
into that discussion,
Jeez, no. But what was I talking about now? Oh, you're talking about football, and I agree. It's kind of like the thing we talk about 9/11. How many people would have to be involved, and why it makes it obviously harder to pull off something that big. I do think that one player can affect the outcome of the game to an extent. Especially, you're talking 22 players on the field. If a quarterback, oops, I accidentally fumbled at this crucial point where we needed this 4th and 3, and now the other team has the ball and we lost the game.
Or easily
That
missing
one
a
person
catch.
Well, sure, but-
or somebody
but
miss
you-
a catch, or you're Tom Brady and can't catch a football.
but it goes back to this. Everything
Tom.
would have had to go a certain direction to even be in that position for that to occur. So
Fair enough.
I think that if you want to talk about sports being rigged, I think the area where sports are most susceptible to being rigged is in officiating. I think officiating is what can dictate the outcome of games way more than one or two players on the field or the court can.
I kind of agree with that. Just for me as a player, like you said, it's hard for me to wrap my head around.
You want to win.
Exactly. You're so competitive. I don't care how much. I mean,
I don't care. I'm McGregor. Give me the money. I'll
Yeah.
lose.
Well, but,
And I
it
think-
goes back to guys what Hoop said earlier.
Yeah.
In the 70s, when a football player was making the equivalent
Yeah,
of
40.
$800 a week,
Oh,
like
yeah.
now,
It's like 35,
maybe,
40 a
but
year,
I
maybe.
mean, the league minimum's $430,000.
Yeah. That's what I'm thinking. Maybe back in the day, I think there could be a lot more
Likelihood of that.
likelihood of things being fixed and everything. But this day and age, the guys are out there. They want to win. They want their legacy to be out there. They want to see how many championships I can win, how many, just that type of stuff. And so they already have the money. They don't need the money. And I know some will disagree with that, but to me, as a competitor, to get to that level, you have to be aggressive. You have to be and you have
Focused.
to.
You dedicate your life to get to a professional level
Yeah.
of any sport. You do you've thrown everything into that basket.
Exactly.
Which in officials can kick you in the teeth. The flip side of that is nowadays there's only one professional, and I don't consider MLS professional in the United States. I'm sorry. I know they are, but they're not at the level. So of the big four, there's only one league who doesn't have officials that are full-time officials, and that's the NFL. Mm-hmm. The NFL also has some minimum income requirements that you have to meet in order to actually be considered to be a part-time official in the NFL. They're not hiring guys who went to officiating school and might be really skilled officials, but at their real job make $40,000.
Exactly.
These are all guys making $500,000 a year in their real job or more. They're lawyers, they're doctors.
Mostly lawyers.
They already make really good money.
Yep.
And they're making $80,000 a year on top of that to officiate NFL games and get flown around the country.
Yeah, you make really good money, but if you make $500,000 a year and somebody offers you $2 million,
well, shit, I guess I'm not being an official.
Yeah.
Damn. There went my dream.
The one thing
the fact that you don't know anything about sports might have.
I know some stuff.
I know, the balls go through the hoops.
Yeah.
Not hoop, but
the hoops.
Well, that depends on the day.
Watch out. The one thing
can't wait for Elena to listen to this one. This will be the one she listens to.
The NBA lottery. That's the one thing I do have an issue with, because they do this behind closed doors. They actually take people in the back who are the representatives of the teams or whoever they take back there, and they empty the cell. They can't have the cell phone back there. They can't take any videos or anything. So everything back there's behind closed doors. Why not put that out in front for everybody to see? Everyone wants to see the lottery anyways. Me as a basketball fan, I want to sit there and watch it all happen. Why don't they let?
Didn't they just make that change a few years ago though? Because for a while, wasn't it?
It may have been
public.
I think it was public,
I
and
thought
then
it was, and
now
then
they switched it. And I'm like,
they switched it back. And now they're talking about changing the way the lottery's structured in general.
Exactly.
Now, like the lottery currently in the NBA is weighted. So if you're the worst team, you have a much better chance of having the first pick in the draft than anybody else. The problem with that is they've watched for the last 12, 13 years in the NBA as teams hit the halfway point of the season and they realize they're not very good.
They'll tank.
They tank. And they don't.
But they're so competitive and they want to win.
Like slick either. They're just like, well, no, the players aren't the ones tanking. It's management. And so for example, here's how a team in the NBA tanks. I'm the Dallas Mavericks, and I've got Dirk Nowitzki. Who's that rookie point guard that they grabbed? That's a good player.
Dennis Smith Jr.
Yes. And they got nobody else. They've got NBA average to slightly below average NBA talent on the rest of their roster.
Mark Cuban should step it up.
So what they can say now is, you know what? Well, we're going to tank. And we're not going to go to our existing players and tell them, hey, we need you to play bad. We're going to bring up 4 guys from our G League team that shouldn't be anywhere near the NBA and give them contracts for 4 months. And those 4 guys are going to play their ass off, but they're bad.
Yep.
How does one get signed up to get one of those contracts?
Well, you have to be better than you.
You did not specify.
And that's where I do agree. I don't know if it's the...
I look like the Gus Macker logo if I wear an orange shirt. Does that count?
You look like the Michelin Man, too.
The Gus Macker logo. Oh, that was awesome. Great. Oh, that was great. I'm going to start calling you Gus from now on.
I've been called way worse than Gus.
That's by me.
And kind of going off GW there, I do agree. Maybe it's not the players, but it's the management, the coaching, and I don't really think it's even the coaches. I think it's the management putting pressure on the coaches.
You're basically saying they would bench their good players.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Play the crap,
well, the Bulls did that
lost.
this year, and the NBA actually called them out on it, saying, "Hey, you guys are tanking," and so
they should.
Technically, we were. I mean, because I'm a Bulls fan.
I'm a Bulls fan too. I don't know anybody. Does Joakim Noah still play? Because that's when I stopped watching.
That is incorrect.
When he got drafted, I stopped watching the Bulls. I hated him that much.
I don't like him either, but he's awesome.
He ended his career at the Knicks. I think technically they're still paying him.
Yeah, I think he's actually still...
He doesn't actually play, but they're still paying him.
That's the last time I watched NBA.
Guaranteed
was that 07?
Well, see, you missed it because
probably
the NBA was really bad then. It was all one-on-one isolation. Now the only team that does that is whoever LeBron plays for.
That's true.
Everybody else actually runs an offense that's fun to watch.
That's my other thing on LeBron. I'm not going to get into it, but...
Yeah, you are.
You are.
Like,
I know you.
Yeah, everyone sits around, and he's a phenomenal talent. I will never, once in a generation, best player in his generation. One of the top 3 players ever to play the game, in my opinion. I respect how he plays. I respect him off the court just as much as I do on the court. You never hear anything bad about him. I just don't necessarily think everyone. It's not a clear cut thing.
You don't like ball dominant basketball.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what he does.
He has to have the ball in his hands in order to distribute.
Exactly,
ball dominant basketball.
Who has he technically really made better as a player? I mean, you look back and
he might not have made anybody better, but he drug some ass teams to the finals.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah.
And
I will say he did that well.
Some ass teams to the finals.
He has.
That's going to be his claim to fame, though. We can say is he best or not. That could be debated. But you could say Jordan elevated players,
I don't think
and LeBron got really bad players to the finals.
I don't think you'll ever see another player take 3 different teams to 8 straight finals.
And possibly not, but everybody always said you never see another guy like Jordan. And then Kobe came along, and he's pretty close. And then LeBron's here, and we're having this discussion.
Here's the thing. This is you want to talk about that conversation.
I don't.
Kobe and Jordan, very, very similar players. People elevate Jordan over Kobe, and they say Kobe was ball-centric and just a volume shooter. No, were those people not watching the first 7 years of Michael Jordan's career? He averaged 30 a game, but he took 50 shots to get there.
There's actually a YouTube video showing side-by-sides of Kobe and Jordan, and quoting Kobe saying, like, I grew up emulating Jordan. I would watch a game and see him do this, this turnaround jumper, and I'd go out and do that for 3 hours.
Yeah.
And they did these side-by-side clips of the two in the height of their career, and they look identical.
Kobe really did try both. People talk about Carmelo again. It's all about perception and everything else.
It is.
Carmelo Anthony, people are like, "Oh, he's a sink. When the ball gets there, it stops." Well, when the ball got to Jordan, guess what it did?
Yeah.
It stopped. When the ball got to Kobe, guess what it did?
I don't know.
It stopped.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Definitely in the early career it did with Jordan. But in the early to mid 90s, I think that changed a lot. When he was playing with Longley, Kukoc, with Pippen, with Rodman.
So when he had two actual players,
I think he brought talent.
Luke Longley was awful at baskball. Tony Kukoc, his best days were 10 years behind him. B.J. Armstrong was a better player on that team.
I liked Armstrong.
Fine, Horace Grant. Throw any of them in. I don't care who you want to throw in from the old Bulls. But he made awful players better.
No, I wouldn't say he made those players better. He did the same thing that LeBron has done.
No,
there were big, clunky people around him, and he got enough attention when he attacked the rim that he could occasionally kick it out to somebody that could shoot. And that's what happened.
Plus, here's another thing. A lot of people say, well, Jordan...
Argument defeated. Change subject.
Okay, I don't think you defeated anything. I think you gave an opinion, and I respect that you have that opinion.
Okay.
You're allowed to have it. My podcast. So... No, but what I think, when I look back at it, you look at Jordan, I'm not going to say he wasn't a ball hog. I'm not going to say any of that. But over his career, he started on some awful teams. Talent was drawn to him. LeBron... Yeah.
Do you not have any comprehension of how free agency in the NBA worked back then? Talent was not drawn to him. Are you telling me that
if you were in the league, you didn't want to play with Michael Jordan?
You didn't have a choice. You either got drafted there or you got signed from overseas. The end.
Rodman got signed from overseas. Since when was Detroit overseas? That's a lake, not a sea.
No. He was traded to the Bulls. He didn't get signed there.
He was traded. I got you.
Okay, so don't talk about how it was drawn to him.
Let me before
the management went out and made
pops,
trades.
Well,
you say dumb things and act like they're real. That's not how it works.
You've known me since I was 12?
Yeah.
Since 12, I've been saying dumb things.
That's
Don't
fair.
get angry today.
Well, no, I get angry all the time when you say dumb things. We're just on microphones today.
Now 34 people are going to hear this.
Right.
So I have to yell aggressively.
Right.
My point is, Jordan brought something to the game that LeBron chases. LeBron went to Miami for a ring. Did he not?
He did.
Because he was on a garbage team. Is that fair?
It's fair.
Yeah, he was on a garbage team, and he had free agency as an opportunity. He did not have the Krause family running the show,
so he went
knowing
and
how to
ring.
draft. Yeah, but
And
I
then when
don't
it dried
blame
up
him
there,
for that.
And then when it dried up there, what'd he do?
I wouldn't even say it dried up there. He wanted to come back to Cleveland and try to do it there too.
Okay, so now he's in Cleveland. He did it.
Yeah.
Big kudos to LeBron for that.
Yep.
Like, I respect LeBron. He's an amazing player. I'm not saying he's not.
Yeah.
He's phenomenal. He is definitely the best on the court today. He is fun to watch. I love what he does off the court. I share stuff on Facebook where he's like donating to kids. He's an amazing individual. But now he's at Cleveland, and the team's garbage. They got the finals, and what just happened?
Yeah,
it's not going to happen here again, so I better bounce.
He earned the right to go somewhere else.
I don't disagree.
He had free agency,
I
and
agree.
it was his option.
I fully agree.
Again, it goes
Did Jordan
back to
ever have a chance to go somewhere else?
Yeah, he went to the minor leagues.
Oof.
No, my point is this. So, again, think about it in this standpoint. You have a job. If your boss is awful, has no desire to make the company better, and you have the opportunity to go make just as much money as you do now or more, somewhere where the boss has a known track record in the world of sports of making things better, would you go?
Absolutely.
Okay, well then why are we banging on LeBron for doing it?
I'm not banging on LeBron. I'm saying he's not better than Jordan. I'm not banging on LeBron for doing
if you
it.
Want to talk
if I
was
LeBron James, I would do everything LeBron James has done.
If you want to talk about just,
I think he's done amazing.
If you want to talk about just on the court, there's one thing that Michael Jordan did better than LeBron James.
I disagree, but go
and
ahead.
That is
shaved
score.
his head.
That is score. That's the only thing that he did better than LeBron James.
Shaved his head.
Yes, Michael Jordan
I think he's
won
better on
3
defense
defense,
too.
but you're wrong, and here's why you're wrong.
Because it's your opinion.
No, do you know who Michael Jordan had to guard every night?
No, I don't.
Whoever
I
the
told you
two
I'm not-
guard was for the other team. You know who LeBron guards every night? Whoever the best player is on the other team, whether it's their center or their point guard. Jordan couldn't guard a guy that was 7'1"
No,
ever
why
in
would he?
life.
So LeBron's better because he's bigger.
LeBron isn't any big. They're both 6'6". Are you out of your mind?
I've got to be honest at this point. I've just been getting you riled up.
Oh, my voice
I
is
don't care about any
escalating
of
because
this.
I'm getting angry. Like
You're-
it's just
if you want to
I'm
compare
acting up.
Michael Jordan and
I can
LeBron, they're
with
just
you,
so hard
bro.
to compare because they
really
played
are. It's
two
completely
different
different players.
players.
Absolutely.
And you
Apples
look,
and oranges.
Exactly. And so that's why it never made
But man,
sense
that
to
was
me
fun.
why people wanted to compare those two. Magic and LeBron, okay, those two similar type, similar height, similar everything. They're a passer first, even though LeBron can average 30. Magic could have done that too when he wanted to. It's just
I don't think he was good of an outside shooter.
He's
but-
not. Yeah, he wasn't. But if he wanted to, I mean, he could dominate the game scoring if he wanted. Just like, but their mentality is both to pass first. They would rather have someone else do it. Especially LeBron, he doesn't have the killer. And no one that's ever played a game of basketball had the killer instinct that Michael Jordan did. You never
I won't
saw.
disagree with that.
Yeah, and you never saw Michael give up at all. And maybe back in the 80s when I wasn't watching Michael as much, maybe he did. But LeBron, you would see him give up and you're like, oh, he's already given up. And even though his team is not as good, but you know what? I said at the beginning of this season, the Cavs are going to be in the finals and the Warriors are going to be in the finals. Everyone knew that. And you know what? Towards the middle of the season, everyone's like, oh, maybe this Cavs team's not as good. When it comes to the playoffs, it's all about superstars. So for him to make the finals again this year, it's nothing special to me. I think it's just something that he was expected to do. When you're the best player in the court, you're the best player in the league, you're expected to be there. And so I don't know. The East was garbage, and when Kyrie went down and Gordon went down for the Celtics, that was his biggest competition. And then he still made it 7 games with the Celtics, and so to me, him making the finals this year, nothing special. But
that is true that
that's
he
just
did
me.
make it 7 games with the Celtics. He lost 2 studs,
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah, and 3 of their 5 best players were better than everybody that the
Not
Cavs rolled
disagreeing.
out on the court except for LeBron.
Not disagreeing with you. Not disagreeing.
Terry Rozier better than anybody other than LeBron on that
and
team.
I will say that
Jason Tatum better than anybody other than LeBron on that team. I mean,
And they got better throughout the year. I mean, those players were never. I mean, Tatum was a high draft pick, but
Tatum
he never
was a guy that Cleveland actually wanted in the Kyrie deal, and Boston wouldn't give him
say
up.
no. Yep,
we got way off conspiracy theories
that's
here.
very true. We just went off.
Which is fine.
Topic.
I knew bringing in these two. They're so passionate about sports, whether they've ever played the game or not at any level, that this is what I wanted. When it comes down to it, I just think that Jordan was more influential of a player. I'm not going to say he's.
He was more culturally influential.
Yes,
He was the first.
and I
He was
think-
the first guy that took the name on the back of the jersey to be more important than the team on the back of the jersey.
And I think, too, what Hoop said about the killer instinct is one thing that and honestly, guys, I've ripped so many of my friends that are Cavs fans. I got a buddy, DJ, that he's probably not listening either, but he's a LeBron fan.
Great friend.
Yeah. Awesome friends. You guys hadn't listened, and you're here now. You're on it. 6 episodes in. We're on episode this is going to be like,
This
I
would
don't
be
know, 8.
I think this would be like 8. Yeah.
And they haven't even listened to it, so he's going to talk about friends. He's my relative. No, but the killer instinct thing, that you see LeBron when things get really tough, you do see the life get sucked out of him. I'm not saying he's not phenomenal. I'm not saying he is not elevated the game. He is awesome. He's awesome off the court. He's a great player. But, you got my buddies that are diehard Cavs fans and my buddies that are diehard LeBron fans like DJ I was talking about. He just said, well, looks like I need a green or a gold and purple jersey now. He just admits, I love watching LeBron play. He thinks he's the best, and he's got that argument, and he's got good points. But Jordan had something in him that he couldn't quit. Jordan had that, like you were talking about, it's not about the money. I need to win this game. Yeah. I will do whatever it takes.
And
the fact that he played with a flu, which there's a conspiracy theory I found out this week on that.
Yeah.
Maybe it wasn't a flu. Maybe it was just a hangover or some bad Chinese food or whatever.
Or it's cocaine.
Maybe it was good cocaine or bad cocaine. We don't know. But I just think that looking back over the course of his career, he had, I don't want to say he had more heart. I think LeBron's got a lot of heart, but I just don't think there was any quit in Jordan at all.
Part of it is,
think he had it in him to give up.
I don't think LeBron has any quit really either. I think that early in his career, the first time around with Cleveland, they had that one series with Boston, and I agree completely. He's 24 years old? I know I did some really just stupid things out of frustration when I was 24 years old.
You still do.
And I'm 40, right?
Get real high pitched on the podcast.
Man, I'm 40.
Are you 40 now?
Yeah, I'm old.
Oh, you're the oldest guy in the room by far.
But my point is so, and again, it goes back to what we were talking about a little bit earlier about the way we consume things in our culture now, too. So LeBron's had a camera on him since he was 13 years old.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he was the next Michael Jordan,
right?
Since he got pubes. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's had that on him his whole life.
That happened at 13.
And we're close. Me and LeBron, we're buds.
That's why you're getting so angry. You're BFFs.
But we go back to this concept of everything that the guy does is under a microscope.
That's fair.
Yeah, he got frustrated because he was part of a terrible team that you watched for 6 games. He did nothing but either put the ball in the bucket or put the ball in the hands of somebody without another player within 7 feet of him, and they couldn't make a damn shot.
Yeah.
And he finally was like, fuck this, I'm done.
He's getting real angry when he starts dropping F-bombs.
So, at some point, there has to be, I think, a modicum of understanding, not that he should have done that or shouldn't have done that, but like Hoop said, in the 80s, you didn't see anything other than in between commercial breaks on TV. Charles Barkley threw a man through a window at a restaurant, and it was on the news for 30 seconds. It was on the news for 30 seconds. I mean, the way we consume things now is so different. The news cycle is so different.
I agree.
That to try to say that Jordan was clutch and LeBron wasn't, to me, is asinine. Yeah. Yes, Jordan made some really clutch shots. He also missed a shit ton of clutch shots. But we don't remember those. We just remember the ones he made against Cleveland or against Utah when he had the flu, or he goes over Craig Elo for 2 with 0.3 seconds left. Yeah. We remember those. Well, guess what? You watch LeBron the whole postseason for the last 5 years throw daggers in people's eyes with 2 seconds left from 4 feet outside the arc. What more can the guy do other than basically come close to averaging a triple-double as the only guy on his team? What do you want from the guy?
Really, and I agree with him being. A lot of people don't think that LeBron's clutch. I don't agree with that. Sometimes he doesn't. Yeah, he's a clutch player. He's a good player. I mean, that's been phenomenal. And to me, it's just they're two different players.
I agree with that completely. Yeah. Jordan wanted to be the guy to take the shot, no matter if there were 4 guys collapsed on him. He still wanted to take the shot. LeBron is the guy who says, if there's 4 guys collapsed on me, I want my wide open teammate to take the shot. I will tell you this. As a coach, I want the second guy, not the first guy.
No, you're not a basketball coach, so your opinion don't really matter.
And to say Michael Jordan's not as great, to me, they're both phenomenal defensive players. I think Michael actually averages more blocks than LeBron did, and he's 6'6",
6'6" against 6'4" guys.
Yeah, well, he came back.
How many 7-footers did he guard?
You come back and watch.
7-footers were the league then.
A lot?
Not that many.
Well, I say every team had a guy that was 6'11" or bigger.
Yeah.
Well,
So you had
6'11's not quite
the
7.
Bill Wenningtons, the Luke Longleys, you had Manute Bol.
Luke Longley was on his
You had
team.
Ralph Sampson, you had Patrick Ewing.
But those big guys were so much better than the big guys in the NBA now.
Oh, they're completely different style play, but I
exactly.
agree.
Yeah,
but still, the physics of
So maybe-
6'6"
maybe-
versus 7'1" is still the physics of 6'6" versus 7'1".
Maybe then I'm going to try and rein this in.
Good luck.
But GW's already gone off the deep end. That vein has popped in the neck, and he's done.
Well, hold
He's
on.
not
Before
listening.
you do that, the only thing that would make LeBron better than Michael Jordan in my eyes is he's going to have to dunk from the 3-point line. That's it.
true.
That's it.
That Jordan dunk,
he can do
Jordan
that.
in the dunk competition was one of the coolest dunks in history.
He can do that. He wins. That's
Well,
it.
I mean, if we're just going to go on pure athleticism, then I mean, Bo Jackson's the greatest athlete of all time against any sport, and we'll just call it a day.
Yeah,
I agree.
We're talking LeBron versus Mike.
And
We're not talking
as far as
anybody.
an athletic, I would give it to LeBron. I mean, as far as
Just
he's
pure athletic
Pure
ability.
athleticism.
Absolutely.
I think Jordan's game was more finesse.
Yeah, he was.
Than I think
He
LeBron's
was
definitely
smart.
got more
he was-
athletic abilities.
Yeah, but
I think LeBron's more powerful.
Yeah, he is. He's way
You
more
know, by
powerful.
far.
Tank, man.
But
see him
what
come
I
down
was
the
going to
lane.
say
We
is
don't want
maybe
part of that.
maybe I'll stand there. How much can I get off of that? I'm getting paid by an athlete somehow. Somebody's hitting me.
Let's be
I'll
fair.
get
If you
money.
just ran from the other end of the court, all you're going to do
No,
is stand
if I'm
there.
on defense, I never made it to my end of the court. See, that's why I played basketball. If people get mad at cherry pickers, I do that, but on defense. I just stay on the defensive side. You all can go score and be heroes. I'm just going to chill here and wait.
Who was the white guy that always flopped in the NBA center? Vlade Divac.
Vlade Divac, yeah.
He could be
He was a
Vlade.
Croatian.
Hey, if I could make money from it. No, but what I was going to say is maybe instead of us all, even though it's fun getting GW riled up, because in the end, honestly, I don't care that much about the NBA. I do love Jordan, but I do think LeBron's amazing. I really do. I will give LeBron all the credit in the world. And I think to say which player is better, honestly, whether it's us here on the Buckhorn podcast with 34 listeners or my mom and wife, if they ever start listening, or whoever, or it's Sports Center, or it's people at your high school or college or work, I think it's stupid to have an argument or even a civil debate about who's better. Because like we've said, and this is why I just like getting people fired up on Facebook or now in person, you cannot compare the two. I think a more intelligent question discussion to have would be maybe who's more influential. And you can say to the game or to their team or whatever, who's more influential offside the court. There are other discussions that could be had, but to compare these two, basketball player to basketball player, say who's better, you're talking eons apart, totally different leagues, totally different games. I think it's ridiculous.
What if the conspiracy theory is that LeBron James is Michael Jordan's illegitimate son?
We could do it. We could do a podcast on that. Start digging. Bring me some evidence. But until this new Space Jam comes out, which I'm vehemently against, and LeBron beats some aliens, Jordan's still the best overall. That's all I'm saying. I'm basing it on Space Jam, and I can do that because it's my podcast. Ours, Martelle. Actually, Martelle, to be honest, for anybody listening, Martelle does everything. We're at his house. He's in his gear. He runs everything. He does the post. He screws up the spelling on the post sometimes, but no.
I don't even use. I quit using spell check.
Yeah, I could tell.
It's failed me too many times.
I just show up and tick people off. And
I will not watch the new Space Jam, just like I did not watch the new Ghostbusters, because that's blasphemy.
Yeah, I didn't watch any Ghostbusters either.
I didn't even know there was going to be another Space Jam.
It's been in the talks for a while, but now they're saying LeBron's going to
Really
take over.
The role that Jordan had. I don't know what the storyline would be, but
it's just got to be a reboot.
Maybe Bill Murray finally gets into the NBA. I don't know. He's like forever. I would love to see that though. He'd be hilarious. No, but seriously, when you come down, we're way off conspiracy theories. We're into sports
LeBron
talk.
was good in that Amy Schumer movie.
I never watched an Amy Schumer movie.
She's funny. A little bit sometimes.
No.
I think she not at all.
Never.
No.
A little bit.
But to be honest, you guys don't know G as well as I do. If he thinks she's funny, she's definitely not. Because his favorite comedic movie ever of all time is a movie that he made me sit through and watch for 2 hours, and I did not even crack a smile.
Just because you don't have good taste
not
doesn't
just me.
mean anything.
There was an audience of people in the room, and none of us smiled.
You all
and you
have
were laughing
bad taste.
hysterically.
It's a you problem, not a me problem.
Yes, if you're the only one in the room, everybody else is wrong.
Right.
Speaking of conspiracy theories,
We're on the same page.
There's this
Everybody
conspiracy
gets
theory
it.
that GW has a good sense of humor going around. It's a rumor been floating.
Is what it is.
No, but I think when it comes to LeBron and Jordan, honestly, I love having these discussions because it's fun for me. I don't really care what people think. I don't really care if they care what I think. I don't care about the debate. I like discussing. I like debating. I like arguing. Everybody knows that about me. But I think it's really a stupid question. And I think it's a media thing.
So with that, we're going to wrap up the show.
Oh, I'm sure we've had enough content today. Can't wait to see how you edit this.
Oh, I'm not.
It's going to be a 2-hour podcast. Buckle in, buckaroos.
So make sure you listen to the show.
Make sure you're telling people at the end of the show to listen to the show. The look
like
on your face right there.
Like it, subscribe, share it with a friend, a family member, or a stranger. Hell, tell somebody on the street tell the homeless guy down the road.
To pull out his cell phone and subscribe to the Buckhorn
Homeless
podcast.
people today have cell phones. You should see these motherfuckers out on the road.
Just happened.
It pisses me off.
Farron went on South High Street to Walmart.
Obama gave it to him.
Here we go. No, Farron went to South High Street to Walmart, and a guy said, "Do you have any change?" He goes, "Bro, I don't have any cash." And the dude pulled out an iPhone with a square on top and said, "I can take your card." No lie.
That's bullshit.
No lie.
I hate that stuff.
That's what we call not an actual homeless person. That's just what we call a panhandler.
That's a panhandler.
He is homeless because it's the new $1,000 iPhone, and he's broke because of it. Go Android, bro. Buy a house.
But anyway, you can look us up on Facebook.
Yeah, so everybody, hey, make sure you give us a listen. Thanks.
Check us out on Facebook, iTunes,
whatever,
Google Play. If you're using Pocket Cast, you can hit the Discover button. Look us up at the Buckhorn Podcast, or you can search us on the interwebs.
It's worth a Google.
Yeah, it's worth a Google.
Are we Googleable?
I don't know. I haven't checked yet. We might be.
SEO for the win.
Then that's it. Everybody have a great day. Thanks.
Peace.
Probably a lot like that gum you ate from that 1986 box of Topps baseball
that
cards.
was the chalky.
That's disgusting.
Dude, he ate like the whole stack of it.
We'd open one of our buddies.
It just turned
Otero,
to powder.
One of our buddies, Otero, who will be on a future musical episode, I believe, had these old packs of cards, and we were out there hanging out and decided, hey, let's just order. Yeah, we were just hanging out. You know, girls were out of town, so we were just hanging out and
Pants off, dance off.
Okay, so we were having a pants off dance off.
Ooh.
And me, you, and Otero, pants off dance off.
Nope,
That's
I'm
a
out.
bad sight. But no,
That's
we
a
opened
lot of
like
duck butter in one place.
I mean, we opened 100 packs of old cards or something, like some stupid
we
amount.
pulled one of my uncle's cards out though, which was awesome.
Yeah.
Otera's head almost exploded.
Yeah, he didn't believe it at first, and so we kept all the gum and stacked it. It was literally, you dropped on his, like, he has this island, hardwood top island, and it was just like clank, 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 you know, and like not bend, not break, nothing.
Well, that
was just
gum is
solid.
from the 60s, man. Like,
Yeah.
Topps produced like a shitload of gum one year, like 80 years ago, and just started putting it all
right,
in
and
packs.
these packs were like from the late 80s.
I'm
86,
surprised that
man.
that gum
So
didn't
we all-
shatter.
Well, we got to the point later in the evening where we were not making good decisions, and I was like, I wonder what this gum tastes like. Because as a
we
kid,
were like, dude,
I would always eat this gum, and everybody talk about how bad it is, and it was bad, but it was like nostalgic for me. So I picked up this stack about the size of like a double quarter pounder of gum and just bit into it hardcore. Like, I went hard because I know it's gonna be tough.
And you have all your teeth still.
Dude,
the powder.
The stuff turned to powder and disintegrated in my mouth. It didn't dissolve. It turned to like a hard. It was kind of like flavored sand, I guess. Like, it all broke into small pieces.
Never turned into a gummy
I
texture.
could not chew it. I
No.
was chewing it. It was crunching, just making smaller pieces.
All the
granules
moisture
of
in his
sand.
body just like sucked
Yeah,
into it.
it was. An
So
awkward
essentially, you
experience.
did like the cinnamon challenge before the cinnamon challenge became a thing.
Yeah, well, something like that. I if you want to call it that, it was a challenge of sorts. I was the only idiot to do it.
Yeah, that's true.
I could have posted online, but I don't know if anybody else can find like 100 packs of 1987 Topps basketball and baseball cards or whatever they were.
That's awesome.
Yeah, Topps didn't make basketball cards in the 80s.
Yeah, well, potato, tomato. I'm not that old. Yeah,
Just saying.
Played baseball or
Yeah, Johnny Lemaster. It was funny because we're opening all these. He was awful.
Yeah.
I mean, he was good because he was
made
in
it on a
majors,
card.
but he was not good. And we're opening these, and I'm kind of like I'm drunk, and we're we're opening the stuff, and I'm joking around. I'm like, yeah, watch out. You're going to pull one of my uncle's cards out of here. And Atero's like, shut up. I'm like, no, really. Johnny LeMaster, he played for the Pirates. You'll see. And sure enough, like 2 packs later in our drunken stupor, he's like, oh, it's your uncle. And I was like, yeah. And he looks at the back. He goes, he was really bad. I was like, yeah, you're right, he was.
That's why you've never heard of him.
Right. Dude,
look what I got at Marcy.
Oh, you got some Pop Rocks.
I got Pop Rocks.
Nice.
I just want to see if they work in the mic. Nothing?
No, it's working. It's coming through. It's really gross. See you just sit there.
This is normally your mic too.
I know.
When I'm just breathing.
I'm gonna switch them out too.
I'm breathing Pop Rock nastiness all over it.
I got other wind filters in the closet.
Okay, now it's freaking me out. Just swallow the Pop Rocks, bro.
I've had Pop Rocks in like 20 years, I think. That's probably more like 2, but
6 months, whatever.
Okay, I bought a whole thing at Sam's Club, like a year's supply, and these have just been in my back pocket for a week. No, but I went in there expecting some grand diner, and there's nothing.
Where?
The Marcy.
Start the story over, Randy. We missed it.
What?
That's awesome.
And then.
Oh, shit.
Welcome to the Hawkhorn Podcast.
Nope.
That's gross.
That's super disgusting.
All right. These are really good. I also realized I've never wrote.
Well,
Anybody listening to this, trust us when we say this would be way better as a video blog.
Yeah, that's what you need to see, a fat bearded guy eating Pop Rocks. Hilarious.
That's what we call a viral video,
A
sir.
plus entertainment.
That's what we call a viral
Oh,
video.
did you guys know that Pop Rocks were processed with carbon dioxide?
yeah.
Good to know.
How do you think it pops?
But do you know where?
Probably in China.
No, actually, Atlanta, Georgia, on 3 Dunwoody Park Suite 108.
I think that's
128.
just the opposite.
To be honest, that sounds about right, because all bad things come out of Atlanta.
Yeah, that's where Coke is.
Oh. All right, we should probably get rolling on today's actual topic. Okay, this might be saying something for my current girth. I can't. I've swallowed them. There's still some in my mouth. I'm sorry.
I'm really
When y'all
anxiously
were
awaiting
kids and
this.
ate Pop Rocks, which, gee, you probably didn't, did you?
No, I did.
Because you hate most things sugar. Did you ever turn the package inside out so you could lick off all the remaining Pop Rocks?
No,
Or is
because
that
when
just
I was
me?
a kid, I was not fat.
Oh.
I became fat as an adult.
Sucks to be you.
As a kid, I was not.
Sounds like you missed out on a great childhood. We used to eat Pop Rocks, turn the package inside out, lick it clean,
No,
roll down a hill,
we just
struggle to get back up.
We didn't turn the packet inside out. We would just split the packet open.
Well, I mean, that's what I mean. You tear it open, whatever, so
I
you can
just
lick the
pictured you
inside.
trying to literally turn the packet inside
Like
out.
a sock?
Yeah, like a sock.
Like the first time he ever tried to roll down a condom. Just like, what do I do with this? I don't understand.
A what?
Explains so much.
I don't know what that is.
I'm glad we brought these guys in to talk about sports.
I'm just following the flow of conversation, man. You lead, I follow.
I'm inviting Hoop every week just to
He
laugh.
can come every week and he just sit there and laugh.
Just laugh.
That's fine.
That's it. Somebody will be like, I hate you guys. You have a laugh track. We have a
No,
live
we
studio
do.
audience. That is way different.
He is live. We pay him in water.
Live studio audience. We pay him in water that he brought. We will pay you in any amount of water that you bring yourself.
That's
That
right.
is your compensation.
All right.
I know you're going to listen back through this.
Oh, I'm gonna-
and use parts of it.
I am.
Oh, jeez.
We've been going for like 12 minutes now.
Have we? Okay,
haven't
we
even
should
done,
probably-
we haven't even done an intro yet.
We should probably get rolling. I still have Pop Rocks popping in my throat.
That's awesome.
Nope. I'm
Still
leaving
trying to
it
figure out
alone,
this
man.
mic.
Leaving that
It's
alone.
not the only thing popping in your throat.
You got to get the ones like this out of the inside. No?
See, you went past the line.
How long have you known me?
No, the funny line, not the sexual
Well,
line.
he's
I don't care
smiling
about the
and he
sexual
laughed.
line. You just-
Sexual? You made it sexual? What did you do with your Pop Rocks?
well, I mean,
Never mind. Let's get started.
just saying.